I need to ask, how are you feeling about the upcoming UK tour?
Man, I'm feeling, usually I feel nervous and excited. I think I'm feeling more of both because it's been 2.5 years since I've done a tour. So incredibly excited, incredibly grateful that there are people buying tickets and that they're going to go see the show. But yeah, also a little nervous, like the weird stress dreams, the pre-tour stress dreams where like you get on stage and the strings are missing from your guitar, or you're not wearing any pants, or whatever. So all of it. But man, I can't wait.
And have you had the chance in the past sort of 2.5 years to do any gigs, or is it going to be a case of like this is your welcome back to the stage?
I've played a little bit. I've played the Grand Ole Opry a handful of times. But I mean, my one and only show of 2020 was like March 6th at the Grand Ole Opry, and then 10 seconds later the lockdown happened. And then last year I got to return to the Opry and play a couple gigs in the summer and the fall. And I did some shows at my neighborhood bar just to try to get back on the saddle and start playing again,
Yeah.
and to learn my own songs. I had to relearn my old songs. I had to learn how to play my new ones. So, but this will be the first proper like consecutive actual bunch of shows that we can call a tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9 shows in the UK starting at O'Meara on March 17th, I think it is. So I'm going to be so pumped. I mean, it's like you want to get in front of the audience. You don't want to do the whole like wearing your emotions on your sleeve completely, wow, here we are. But I think everybody's got to be feeling that a little bit, right? Like, wow, we get to have live music again. This is cool.
And that's the thing, like I've been to a few gigs since, and it is quite overwhelming stepping back into that environment and the noise and the crowds, and it does take some readjusting to. So I mean, it's all good stuff. It's great that we're kind of heading back that way. But yeah, I mean, I need to ask about Popular Mechanics. And I was reading about before that how apparently there was a full album shelved. Was it just kind of not a vibe you were feeling, or what was the story behind that?
I started making Popular Mechanics in 2018 with a producer named Kelly Winrich in Southern California. And what we did is we just ended up taking 3 or 4 songs from that record, and in some cases starting over and re-recording them, in some cases just kind of massaging what we already had. But basically, I heard myself trying to keep a foot in kind of the more safe Americana territory, and then another foot in this new rock direction that I wanted to go in. And so I kind of just said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just make the rock record that I want to make. So fortunately, some of those songs, like I said, from the 2018 sessions, very much were in line with the new aesthetic that I was going for. So I very luckily met this producer in Nashville named Cheyenne Metters. And he had the very difficult task of kind of helping me land the plane on the tracks I'd already started. And then he also helped me come up with a whole bunch of new songs. So he co-wrote the title track. He co-wrote a song called Daydreaming. And then I just was also busy writing a bunch of new material. So that's a long story short, is kind of how we got there. But yeah, I think I just didn't want to play it safe, man. I wanted to make the record I want to make. I don't, for people who came on to discovering me because they love country music and heard my country sound, it's like, don't get me wrong, there's still pedal steel and there's still a lot of elements of country music that made its way onto this record, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to bring in the stuff from 80s pop that I love. I wanted to try out a bunch of kind of fun vocal things, and in general, just up the energy level.
And in terms of writing that, do you still, your writing process, I guess, does that differ when you're thinking, okay, this is going to be like a kind of new wave rock inspired track as opposed to a kind of a country track? Does that kind of change?
I wanted to say no, it doesn't affect it, but yeah, I think it does. Like I've got songs that are very much just rip-offs of like a 1960s country ballad. Yeah. And so when you're writing in that style, you're basically coming up with things that rhyme bad with sad and that kind of thing. I think as I was finding myself gravitating to these bigger, more energetic rock songs, I think there's probably more on the table. You can kind of, like, again, I've got a song called Polyamorous, not exactly a word that you hear in country music too much. So it kind of frees you up to just say, I'm also about to release a whole bunch of bonus tracks. One of them is called Pink Paradise. That it's like a fun rock song. I don't think it's something I would have written if I was trying to make a quote unquote country record.
Yeah.
So, but it's good for me. I early in my career, when there was not a lot of other people in LA doing country music, it was like a fun challenge to do it and to kind of show off this side of me, this country music side that I've always loved. But this is the whole other side of me, and that's fun too.
So you put the album out November last year.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, was it one of these things you wanted to hold on to as long as possible? Because I know last November things weren't as bad as they were when we were in like the kind of the midst of
Right.
full-blown pandemics and lockdowns and things. But is there part of you that kind of wanted to hold on to it slightly longer to kind of put it out when things were a bit rosier?
Well, that's the thing. You work so hard on a new batch of songs, and you don't want to release it like a little puff in the breeze, like so obviously 2020 was kind of a lost year. I think 2021, the hangover effect from 2020 was very strong. So yeah, I wanted to release it at a time where I thought anyone might notice. But then it also gets to the point where like, okay, we're going on almost 2 years of this. I don't want to wait forever. So that said, it wasn't like I finished the record, 2 years before and was literally hanging on to a completed record. I used that time to improve the tracks, to do different things, to try different mixes, different mastering. So I think I really used that time to much benefit the record.
And I think as well, it must be quite nice to know that you put the album out in November, and 4 months later, you're going to be able to play it live, and actually it's still relatively fresh. It's, it's not like it's something you put out 2 years ago that you're revisiting. So
that's right.
It still feels new. And I think you definitely do pick up that sound if this is an album that's going to sound great live. I listened to it in my car making a journey to Glasgow the other day, and actually it really does. It feels like it could be a big sort of stadium filling album. So I think it's going to translate really well on stage.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm bringing a pared down band for these UK shows, but it's still very much a full sound. Like my producer Cheyenne sings incredible BGVs. I'm switching back and forth between electric guitar, piano, acoustic guitar. Ruthie Collins, who's opening the shows, is also playing guitar and singing the band. We're going to have a great pedal steel player for the show in London at O'Meara. So I've been posting these videos on my Instagram of the band rehearsing the songs in my house, and people can hear just how skillfully they're taking these tracks that on the recording are like a, full blown every bell and every whistle. And even though when it's pared down, it still sounds really great. So, and it's always just comes down to energy. My energy, the audience's energy, it's a shared kind of chemical reaction. So we're gonna blow the roof off these places just because we're so thankful to be back doing it.
Yeah, you mentioned the brilliant Ruthie Collins there. Every time I have seen you live, I think twice. So I saw you in Edinburgh at the Caves and then at the Classic Grand in Glasgow. And your support has always been flawless. Lydia Luce, I think, was one of the gigs, and Michaela Ann.
Yeah.
Like, what is the key to finding someone brilliant to take on tour with you?
I think I just get really lucky. I'd known Lydia, for example, since like 2016 or 15 or something. She walked up and introduced herself at a show in LA, like, I'm Lydia Luce and I play the violin. And we'd stay in touch. And when I heard her new record in 2019, I took Lydia in 2019, it just blew me away. So I think I just get really lucky, man. And I try to keep an ear out for what the universe wants to unveil. And again, with Ruthie, I was introduced to her music by my guitar player, Brad Lindsay, because he'd been playing with her, and I checked out her new single Hypocrite and just totally blew my mind. This is like when pop country is done really well. You know what I mean? Like it's got the elements of the stuff you hear on the radio, but without any of the cheesiness. And so that's what I look for. I look for authenticity. I think that's what people look for in anybody. But yeah, I think I just get lucky. That's the best I could guess.
Going back to Popular Mechanics, you mentioned it kind of 80s sound. Who were the kind of 80s artists that shaped that sound for you?
Well, the guiding, I think the guidelight in the studio is just, I try to always copy anything that Jeff Lynne did when he was producing Tom Petty. So that's the basic rule, is just try to copy Tom Petty. My all-time favorite pop song is probably Boys of Summer, written by Mike
Yeah.
Campbell, but performed by Don Henley. So we try to rip off anything from the Don Henley solo records we could, which you hear, like, if you listen to the song Innocence, written by Bruce Hornsby, performed by Don Henley, and then listen to my song Sun Ain't Set. I mean, between End of the Innocence and Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time, we just copied all of those tricks. I'm also obsessed with Bryan Adams. I'm obsessed with Kenny Loggins. I'm obsessed with Bruce Hornsby, Phil Collins, Madonna, all of it. So it was just, we threw the kitchen sink at it. And a lot of times too, that's what I like to do in the studio. I kind of like to try everything and then start paring things back. That way I can kind of see, okay, we tried it, didn't work, take that back. Well, what if we did this? We nudged this in this way. But yeah, that's the short list. I can't say enough about how much I love Bruce Hornsby, and especially his second record, Scenes from the South Side. I think is just perfection. But I also knew, because I'm not a piano player, I couldn't make like a keyboard record. Okay. So we've got keys and synth in most of the songs, but we didn't use it as a lead instrument as often as he does, because he's obviously leading the band with his piano. So I hope that list was, I'm sure I'm leaving out a lot, but
there's a lot. I mean, the Spotify playlist in that. Yeah. In terms of any of these artists mentioned, I know you like to kind of chuck in a few covers to your live sets. Do we expect any of them to make an appearance?
You can better believe it. Oh yeah. I've done a lot of covers in previous tours. It's kind of left people going, what the heck? But we're going to definitely throw in some covers. But I like to keep the focus on the original tunes, because otherwise people get mad. But I think a cover is a great way to kind of break up a set. It's kind of like a nice breath. It's like almost like a nice reset, and then you get back into your own thing. Also with a cover tune, you can always change up which songs you cover on a set. So it kind of gives you that a little more added variety.
Well, you did mention people get mad, and people love to get mad these days. Was there part of you that kind of felt a little bit trepidation going forward with an album that wasn't traditional country, knowing that people that maybe enjoyed, Tenderheart, would maybe think, this isn't what I want? Like, was there that kind of initial hesitation?
Well, I think in 2018, when I started making it, one of the reasons I shelved a lot of it is because, again, I felt myself kind of producing some of the songs in a way that would like appease, current fans or something, people who wanted their Americana nice and dusty. And so there was a little bit of that trepidation, and that just it helped me, though, to kind of codify my own resolve for what I wanted to do. Now, let's say if I was Alan Jackson in 1992 and I just put out Chattahoochee and I'm making millions of dollars, and everybody in my team is making tons of money, and everyone's lives are depending on me having more hits, my next song is probably going to sound just like Chattahoochee. But that's not what we're doing over. This is not a multi-million-dollar operation. So in some ways, my complete lack of success has been a bonus for me to be able to explore sounds that I want to, and not to have to worry too much about what people think. That said, surprising, I thought there was going to be a lot more blowback than there was. A lot of people have been like, yeah, I was a little unsure what to expect when you started posting clips of the songs. I was kind of nervous, but then I listened to the record and I think it's your best one yet. So I think, kind of like when Enya was asked, hey, Enya, do you consider yourself part of the new age music genre, or what's your genre? And she said, my genre is Enya. And so I think that's kind of why giving myself that freedom now, that my genre is Sam Outlaw. I'm going to make whatever, and sometimes it's going to be country, sometimes it's not. And all I want to do, though, is make songs that I like.
And you often find that, like, when you go through an artist's discography, and they've maybe got one random electronic album chucked in with 30 more traditional albums. That is the one that you kind of think, oh, what was going on in those years? So I think it's great to have that mix. We did speak about classic albums, and I actually have props. This is wonderful. So I would love for you to give me a sentence, couple of sentences summarizing the past albums. So start with your debut.
I mean, it's a Ry Cooder produced country record. I don't know what more to say than that. The guy doesn't make a lot of records. He doesn't produce a lot of records. He's a legend. And it's what launched my career. So I'm forever grateful that I got to make that record. If forever is a reason that I think anybody even has ever heard of me. So Angeleno, we're going to play a lot of songs from that record on the tour, and I'm forever grateful that that record was made.
Brilliant. Okay, number 2.
Tenderheart. The song Tenderheart that's on that record and the song Bougainvillea, I think, which is on the record, are two of, to this day, songs I'm most proud of writing. In some ways, Tenderheart, it had some just kind of like Angeleno B-sides, but it also had, I think, some of the best songs that I've ever written. And it gave me a chance to start exploring some of the rock and roll stuff that I kind of eventually would go more full blast into.
I don't have it, but Hassocks, I'm holding it up.
Yeah, Hassocks. It's just a gonzo record. It's 3 songs and 3 like skits where it's me and my friends acting out. It's basically me being made fun of. And it was inspired by, like, in 2009 or 2010 when I first started wearing a Western hat in Los Angeles, and I got a lot of crap for it, and people thought I was having like a quarter life crisis. And so it was kind of a chance to kind of do some skits where I'm being made fun of for wearing this hat, or where a girl's flirting with me and uses the hat as like an icebreaker. But yeah, 3 really fun country songs. We did some really weird production, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's good fun. I like the last interlude and a discussion about like traditional country music, and you've got these kind of distorted audio effects. It's good fun.
Yeah.
And it does kind of transport you to like a smoky bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
even the quote unquote band that's playing in the bar in that skit, that's actually an old recording of one of my old songs.
Okay.
So when the girl is outside and I say, what do you think? What do you like this bar? She goes, I don't know, the music's kind of lame. She's talking about my own music.
Speaking of your music, let's go and think. You may not have released this song yet, but do you have one that's kind of like sitting in the vault that you are like, this is my best song that people have not heard yet?
I'm about to, starting Friday, I'm going to release a new single every 5 or 6 weeks. So I don't know if you want to consider them Popular Mechanics bonus tracks or just singles, doesn't really matter. But I've got a whole bunch of songs that have been recently finished, as of yet unreleased, that are definitely some of my best. And then it's not in every case it's just because like they didn't fit in a record. It was just, I don't know, I just didn't put them out for whatever reason. So the first one is going to come out end of this week. It's called Lonely Man, and it's kind of like a celebration of loneliness, and we'll see what people think.
Nice. Okay, that's exciting. I need to also ask, what is it about the UK and Sam Outlaw that gels so well? Because I feel like you're here a lot, and I mean, we are thankful for that. But what is it that works so well about the combination?
Man, I don't know. It was so funny. Like the first time I ever toured the UK, I was opening for someone, so they weren't even my shows. But then those people kept coming back, and then the audiences kept growing. Maybe it's a little bit of the romanticizing the American West, so you got a guy in a Stetson singing about his sadness. Maybe that connect. I also, my roots are like in Europe and in England, and it's not like I'm a complete stranger in a strange land, I guess. Like we're all kind of from the same background. So I also love being in a different place culturally. I think it gives me an extra level of excitement. So maybe the audience kind of picks up on that. I like to travel. I like variety. And I do love the fact that, England is kind of the old world, and in LA, the oldest building is about, built 20 minutes ago. So I think there's something special about the culture too, that just kind of creates an excitement.
Yeah. I need to kind of move on to Aberdeen, because Aberdeen, South Dakota, have you experienced the joys of Aberdeen, Scotland?
I have, as far as I know, not actually, at least I've not played a show in Aberdeen, Scotland. Have I? I would think I would remember if I'd been there. Is it cool? I'm gonna get, because I've only ever played Edinburgh and Glasgow.
Yeah, I mean,
in Scotland.
You pick good ones. Yeah, Edinburgh and Glasgow.
But man, the audience in Scotland are truly the best. And I promise you, my first chance to get to party in Aberdeen, Scotland, I'll make a big deal of it. I'll make a big deal of it.
I mean, I don't know if you'll survive that experience.
Really? That's okay. Now I have to do it.
I need to ask, do you have any secret talents that, we would be amazed to find out?
Oh man, I barely have any talents that people know about. I'm pretty good at this game called Catchphrase. Have you ever heard of this game?
We have a TV show Catchphrase when you maybe
Oh,
like see like a recreation of like a popular saying.
yeah. So you basically try to get the people on your team to guess the catchphrase. It's kind of like hot potato. You pass around this little disc. It flashes you a phrase, and you have to get your team to say it.
Okay,
And
yeah,
but you're not allowed to say, starts with or rhymes
yeah.
with. Not allowed to use hand motions. If that's a talent, I'm okay at that. And
Let's
I'm
go
a
with that.
decent whistler. If I had to make it as a professional whistler, I could probably get there.
Okay. If you'd like organize dogs and animals and things with your whistle.
Yeah, maybe that's something useful with it.
I would love to finish up with just a rapid fire, getting to know Sam Outlaw round. So first thing that comes into your head, don't think
Okay.
about it too much. Favorite movie?
Oh, that question is rapid fire. One of them is Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a classic. Biggest fear?
Heights.
That could have also been Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
One thing that you own that you really need to get rid of?
One thing I own, I need to get rid of. I've got some furniture sitting in my storage unit that just needs to get the heck out of my house. There's a really ugly end table. Shameful.
Favorite animal?
I love my cat. I like domestic cats. Yeah.
If you could visit another time period?
Oh, easy. Los Angeles in the 50s or 60s.
Your worst habit?
Drinking.
The most starstruck you've ever been?
When I met Kevin Costner.
Favorite smell?
Like pine and yeah, pine tree kind of.
One song you wish you had written?
Too many. That Bonnie Raitt song, I Can't Make You Love Me.
Nice. Final one. Who would play you in a film?
Ooh, obviously Bradley Cooper, if he was hotter.
And that's a lovely note to finish up on. Thank you so much for chatting. I looking forward to seeing you in Glasgow, and yeah, I'm excited to hear the new tracks. Sounds very exciting.
Man, thank you so much. We're going to bring the heat to Glasgow, and I promise you, if I ever get to Aberdeen, I'll let you know.
Fantastic. Sounds great. Right. Enjoy.
Take care,
See
man.
you later. Bye.
Thanks a lot.